In this series, I'm going to show you guys why I am one of the best college football players in the world. I've won hundreds of thousands of dollars during my time of playing professional football video games, including becoming the #1 ranked CFB player in the world. But during my time of professional video games, everyone has called me a cheeser and a one playbook merchant. Well, today I am going to try to beat the allegations, and I have 28 days of getting top 100 in ranked. The one challenge, every single day I have to rock a different playbook. This is going to show you guys inside the mind of live lab sessions, and then what we are going to be looking for within games and trying to prove that I am no longer a one play cheeser. All right, boys, today we are going to be rocking Pittsburgh playbook. Now, one of the reasons why Pittsburgh is a really good playbook is because of what you just saw with auto motion wheels. So the first play we are going to go ahead and call here is going to be, let me get the name of it for you men, is going to be motion mesh post. Now, the reason why this is so good is short post, and then on top of that, you are going to be able to have a very nice mesh concept over the middle of the field. And this auto motion wheel is just something that is very effective within this game. It's going to be one of the easiest plays that you guys can go ahead and utilize. Now, the second play that we are going to go ahead and pick from trips wide slot strong is just going to go ahead and be the halfback sweep. Now, I don't really talk about sweeps a ton, but the reason why sweeps are very, very good is against any mug style of defense, sweeps are going to be by far the best run. Also, when they are in man coverage, I like sweeps too. The reason why I like sweep is because all the man defenders are on the strong side of the formation, so it's very easy to get leverage to the outside. Then the last play that we are going to go ahead and run is going to be shock. Now, shock, very, very simple play in terms of how we can go ahead and utilize it because of the short post. What I like to go ahead and do is just simply throw the tight end on a drag like this. We're just reading the middle of the field, and then we're essentially reading a high-low on the sideline over here. So right here, they actually play a little bit of man, which also allows us to have that pass lead nicely outside. Boys, let's go ahead and get into the games. All right, boys, Pittsburgh playbook today. I've got a lot of comments about this playbook. Seems like you guys are all liking Pittsburgh playbook, so I figured I might as well try it myself. And right off the rip, almost a touchdown. But for me personally, I like formations with auto motion wheel routes. Now, again, a lot of good bunches. Trip 6 Nasty is actually really, really good from this formation too. You've got a trio from this formation. Just, I can see why you guys like this playbook, right? It's just got a lot of just very, very good formations. And it's got a sick red zone formation here too. I'll show you guys when we do end up getting there. Now, I do always like to have that trips alignment to the wide side of the field. I think it just makes the formation a lot better. Now, play clock is running down right here, so I'm just going to go ahead and get a quick little halfback draw in right here. Draw is not solid from this formation. I don't think they're one of the best runs ever, but there's something that you can utilize. Now, motion wheels, they are in Oregon State. I know that motion wheels are some of the best routes in this entire game. Now, I always like having the wheel running to the short side of the field too. And the reason why I like that is because of the streak wheel concept that you guys are seeing right here. Now, it's not as good against man, but against zone, very good concept. As you guys can see, we have a very nice window of space for that motion wheel route where we are able to throw it. Now, when I do get down to the red zone, I feel like we haven't talked about red zone in a minute in this series. I really like to focus on quarterback runs. If I could ever have one thing in my formation when it does come to this area of the field, it is quarterback runs. One of the best quarterback runs is going to be this fake jet pass power. Now, the reason why this is so good is one, it's a quarterback run that is also involved with auto motion. When you guys are going to go ahead and see, we're going to fake the handoff, auto motion, and as you guys can see, I feel like I say that way too much. I need to get better at speaking, but wide open lane for my quarterback to just run in. His user had to kind of overcommit to the motion player because it's a threat of a jet pass. That allows us to, one, have really a two-way go where we can, one, throw the jet touch pass, or we can just easily run it up the middle. Real quick, boys, if you guys are a CFB 26 or a Madden 26 player, if you guys want to have more fun and win more, throw touchdowns like this and then bag the most annoying of offenses, make sure you guys check out civil.gg where I drop my tournament winning schemes on. We recently did a survey that said 98.1% of players that sign up win more. Make sure you guys use code Dcroft to save you 30% off at the checkout. Once you sign up, you'll get instant access to the schemes to start winning more. Quarterback runs are money in this area of the field. That and halfback direct snaps. If you guys are looking for those, your red zone offense is going to be infinitely better. If you do not look for those, your red zone offense is just going to be a lot worse. Now, as always, after the first drive, audio, everything good. Just have to make sure after some of the mishaps we have had recording this series. Now, defensively, we're in a groove. Record, I believe, is 77-2, I want to say. Fringe top 100, right? Oregon State was yesterday. We knocked out a ton of games yesterday. This is not going to be a playbook I utilize a ton of games in. I'll probably play like maybe 5 games in it because I do think it's a solid playbook. It's not a bad playbook by any means. But Tulane is going to be the next playbook. We really do just lock in and try to get an infinite amount of games with it. We've only got about 10 days left in this ranked season 2. I feel like this series has actually kind of flown by. I think part of it was, I did miss a couple of days because I was out in San Francisco. But this series has feel like it's flown by. Like this entire month of February feels like snap and it's almost over. Makes a little bit of sense because it is only 28 days. Is it a leap year? I think it's a leap year, right? So it's 29 days. Oh no, it's not. So it is only 28 days. But this series feels like it has just flown by personally. Now, right here, 1st and 10 for him. Kind of bad defense by us. Boom, boom, boom. During a lot of these wide formations, this is a playbook that we will be running at a point. I've got feedback on you guys wanting to see some wide formation gameplay. The thing that's always tough about wide formation gameplay is that it's really hard to pair route concepts together because of how far out your receivers are. So it really does almost feel like the only ways that you can utilize a wide formation effectively is against man because the spacing is so good. Against zone, as I said, it's tough to just sequence players because they are just so far away from each other. By the time they're even complementing one another, it's just tough to ever find space in terms of being able to have easy windows to kind of manipulate zones is the best way of describing it. And I think that that's partially the reason why I have never really ran much of these wide formations, because you do even have a wide bunch. Bala is actually one of the pro players that runs a lot of wide bunch. I think it's good. I think it's solid. I just also don't know if it's my cup of tea. Now, right there, wow, my inside quarter on the opposite side of the field went so much further out than I thought he was. I thought that was going to be a very easy switch stick for us. Because he was so far out, my switch stick was a little bit more delayed than it should have been, allowing him to throw that pretty easily. And yeah, he's just killing me with this tight end route right now. I think I'm going to have to put a little bit more focus on using this tight end route throughout the rest of the game. Also, what you guys think of these yellow Hawkeyes jerseys? I'm a big fan of them. I like the yellow Hawkeyes jerseys. I know you guys have probably seen them a little bit more here in these basketball videos. Big fan of them. Now, I'm going to go ahead and rock goal line. I really like rocking goal line at anywhere from inside the 5. I just think that people really struggle with goal line and being able to have concepts that beat it. Now, right there, honestly, the first drive was a horrendous user drive by me. Late on a switch stick, didn't guard the tight end on a drag, and then just didn't guard my hook zone right there. Really, really bad job defensively by me just with my user. One of the things I always think about with a user is, I think we can all admit zone defense is just bad in this year's game, right? It's not very good. It's very easy to find open windows where you're able to throw in this game. Your user defender has to be responsible for always trying to take away 2 players. That is also a very tough ask because I don't think usering is also great in this game. They have really focused on nerfing the users these past couple of years in Madden, and then that kind of carried over into CFB. What you have to do is take away, as I said, 2 routes, right? The reason why you have to do that is it makes playing defense a little bit easier. I always like to have essentially a 2-on-1 numbers advantage with my defenders in comparison to my defensive backs, right? And that can also include linebackers too. Now, the reason why I think about that is, just think about it, right? Let's just go ahead and say that they send out 4 routes in a pattern, right? They block their running back, they send 4 routes out in a pattern. More often than not, you're going to be sending only 4 people. So you have 7 defenders, right? What I always like to personally think is if I can take away 1 player with my user, then it's a 3-on-6 with the rest of my defensive players, right? You know, I have 6 defensive backs and then they have only 3 eligibles because my user is taking away that 1 route. So it's a 1-on-1 right there. If I'm then able to have my user take away a second player, then I essentially have only 3 players that, or excuse me, only 2 players on offense, need a slide right there, that need to take, or 2 players on offense that can get taken away by 6 defensive backs. It's one of the like numbers advantages I always try to think about within this game. One of the reasons why it's so tough to play defense, if you want to even break down further into that, it's very tough to make anybody block their running back in this game. So essentially what that means is that they always are going to have 5 eligibles, right? You can't block your running, you can't force your opponent into blocking the running back. They're easily going to have 5 eligibles on every single play, right? Then if you go ahead and just look at the numbers, you are trying to take away 5 offensive players with 7 defenders. That's probably going to be the average matchup that you do end up having. That's almost what I would consider like a death situation. Like, it's just impossible to do that. If you're sending 4 and then you're having 5 out in the pattern and you are trying to take away all 5 of those players with 7 defenders, it's near impossible, truthfully. So that's why it's always important of trying to get some form of easy pressure so you can only have to defend against 4 eligibles. Now, when you are dealing with 5 eligibles within the pattern, one of the things that I do just honestly always think about is, again, trying to take away 2 defenders with my user, because then that's when we can at least have the numbers advantage again of 3 eligibles on offense, because 2 players are taken away from our 1 user, and then we're only subtracting 1 player on defense. I hope that all makes sense. That's kind of a different concept that I haven't talked about a lot. And then on the flip side of this, with the offensive side, that's why it's also so important to send 5 eligibles in the pattern if you can. Don't randomly just block a running back just because. You always want to make sure that you're putting as many people out in the pattern if you have time in the pocket. The essential part of all of this is time in pocket. If you feel comfortable in the pocket, there's no reason for the running back to stay in the pocket and essentially waste that numbers advantage that you can create. Now, one of the plays that I do want to talk about that we didn't talk about the earlier part is just going to go ahead and be Dagger right here. I really like Dagger. Dagger is a very, very good play that I like. And this is what we call a post corner or a poco. The reason why it's a post corner, if you look at the route, it initially cuts like a post and then it goes to a corner route. So if you ever hear me call a route like that, like a poco, we really like these routes against man. Now, as I say that, I throw it way too, I'm trying to, you guys can make fun of me in the comments. I throw that way too early. I kid you not, I've probably not thrown that route in the past like 2 years. It's so good against man. It's one of my favorite man beaters within this. I just throw it way too early, so that is on me. You have to make sure he waits to make the cut. I almost throw it when he is on that front shoulder. So really bad by me. If you throw it too early like that, yes, you will throw picks. And it's actually probably a good thing that you guys see stuff like this in this series, because timing of routes is also very important, right? You know, I can tell you a route that does get open, but if you don't know the timing of said route, you can't throw picks, right? That's the same thing for me. That's not excluding me either. That's not, oh, you're a lesser skill level than me. That means that you're gonna have more difficulties throwing a route like that. No, that's just like if you mistime a wide open route, you're going to run into issues like that. Now I'm gonna go right back to Dagger right here and see him. He doesn't come out in man right here. So sadly, I can't get my redemption route right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm just gonna go ahead and put Gronk on this flat route. Also put my running back on a flat route, Dickerson, and easy 7 for us right there. Now, right there is actually kind of a great example of just having 5 eligibles out in the pattern. You go ahead and look at this play right here again. You guys will see it's very difficult just to guard 5 offensive players. It really is. You know, one of the things that you guys might think is funny, because it's never really been a concept in college football, in general is I remember like old school Maddens. We're talking like Madden 18, Madden 19, Madden 20. Those games, it was tough to guard 3 eligible receivers with 7 defenders, which I know sounds insane, but that's kind of just how those games were, right? You know, those were years where blitzes were insane, right? So you actually a lot of the times had to keep 2 players in, right? You had to keep your running back and also your tight end in. What ended up happening is that even if you took away 1 player with your user, so now you currently have a 2-on-6, right? 2 eligibles versus 6 defensive backs. Those 2 routes that you could put on those 2 eligible receivers were so overpowered that trying to, like, there was no zone that guarded them. This is also pre-switch stick era. So you couldn't just say, oh, just switch stick it, right? Because that's what a lot of people do now. You just kind of had to deal with the zones, hoping like, oh, am I going to get pressure in time? Or am I going to have a good enough user on this one play to try to take away those 3 eligibles? Very big part about these games that just to always be mindful of. Again, very different style of video here today for you men about just like the general numbers advantage. I was thinking about this last night. You know, one of the things that you guys might not even think about is I have like a very just like, I have a like Madden brain rot mind, probably the best way of describing it. So I will literally just like go to the shower and like I'll just be thinking about like how do I better play these games. And that's what I was thinking about yesterday. I was thinking like, man, like I feel like I don't do a good enough job defensively in terms of being able to eliminate the amount of eligibles that they can have on a play. And then offensively, I feel like I do a great job of it, right? And it's just one of the things I was just thinking about in general. As right there, I'm just getting killed by this. Oscar Delp is the greatest player ever. His name is also Minions. I find it kind of funny. Need to take a quick sip of water right here. I'm not sure what's up with me, boys. I don't feel sick, but I just feel like stuffed up. I don't have allergies or anything like that either. It's just been, that's like a week or so. It feels like every single morning when I wake up, it takes a minute for my voice and my nose just to kind of act normal. Now, right here, I am just using the tight end the entire way. Go ahead, throw your drag. I do not care. I can just not give up the tight end anymore within this game. Your tight end, I will just guard it one-on-one. I will give up the drag every single play. You just feel like you don't want to throw anything else. Yep, so just use the tight end and perfect. Very straightforward, pretty easy user. Peter Woods should be out of there. Look at the big man rumble. Great defense by us. Again, we were just really focused on making sure I took away that one go-to route with my user, and then we were able to force an not an incompletion, but a turnover on that play. One of the reasons too, if you think about what I've been talking about in terms of this concept a little bit more, the reason why I like Texas four-manning so much, it's the least amount of people that you can send that gives a threat of blocking the running back too. So there's been years, right? 3-man blitzes have actually been really, really good. I think he's going to quit here. So, okay, let's go ahead and quit and talk about this in the next game, boys. Boys, game number 2 here. And building off of what I was just talking about there too, there's been years where it's been very good to just blitz 3 people. In case you're not, there's been years where you could blitz 3 people and the offensive line would not be able to pick it up. Now, this year, that's not the case, right? But there is the Texas 4-man that we have that creates a pretty good threat of a blitz, right? If you guys have been watching the series, even though we haven't focused a ton defensively, I think it's pretty given, right, that defensively I look very, very sound, right? I feel like it's fair to say that the reason why I have been able to go on this win streak that I have been able to is just defensively I feel so much better than anybody else, right? And the way I look at it, and the reason why I am able to play the level of defense that you guys have seen, is I just do a good job at making people have to worry about the least amount of people that can come on a blitz, right? You know, 4 people on a blitz, I feel like I'm able to get home enough that makes people have to think about it. Makes people have to think about blocking their running back, having to block a tight end. And that is such a huge advantage that I do have, as right there. Mendoza's been missing some throws for me lately. I know that we do have this new Jalen Hurts. We have him in the binder too. I might need to look at going to him because, man, Mendoza's missing throws. But that's kind of my basic defensive philosophy for you guys that I hope just makes sense for you guys. I don't know if you guys have ever heard concepts like this talked about too. So whenever I do talk about concepts like that, I know that You know, we've been talking about this for like almost like 15 minutes now, but I do just hope that when you guys hear stuff like this, it kind of clicks for you guys. We talk about so much different stuff from like very basic to very high level. I think what we have talked about today is definitely a little bit higher level in terms of just how I think about these games. And I hope that, as I said, it does click and it does make sense for you guys. Now, right here, auto motion wheel with Gronk wide open, really starting to spam these two. I love these auto motion wheels. Now, we're going to go ahead and go back to our doubles formation. And we are just going to spam this fake jet pass power. I think it's one of the best red zone calls that you guys can have. You know, red zone is something I always try to stay away from. And what do I mean by that? I don't mean like in terms of like practicing it or lapping it. I literally just mean like I try to just stay away from being in the red zone because it's tough to score in the red zone. So when I'm at like the 30 and at the 40-yard line, give or take, I'm always looking for shot plays into the end zone so I don't get stuck into this like 5 to 10, 1 to 5, even like the 10 to 15 area, because I think that's where a lot of stops do happen in this game. I think that if you look at basic defensive philosophies of mine and Civil in this year's game, is that you just got to make people work down the field, right? If you get somebody to have 15 plays instead of 5 plays, even if they are getting 75 yards on both of those drives, their average yards per play is going to be a lot less, and it's going to come to a point where they have to show that they have good red zone offense. So that's the way I always like to think about this defensively, is that if I'm making somebody work down the field, we're playing really good defense. And then on the flip side of this, if I'm able to score in 3 to 5 plays, that means I'm playing better offense than if I'm scoring in 10 to 15 plays, right? So just food for thought. And I do want to say with that, it does kind of flip when we are talking about clocking drives, right? So let's just say it's an end of half situation. Obviously, your end of half situations are going to be more than likely like a 10 play drive, right? You know, you're going to have 2 clock on. You want to just make sure that you're maximizing having the last possession of half, even the last possession of game 2. That's another very, very important thing that I do just happen to think about. Now, right here, second and 3, not first and 10 anymore because he just ran the ball. Just again, like I try to show my adjustments as much as possible, men, but there's just not much like uniqueness I have. Like right there, we do end up, is he gonna throw this? I thought he might throw that for a second. We do end up having the Texas 4-man come in right there. Him blocking the running back is why he was able to pick that up right there. But that's good for us because that means he only has 4 receivers out in the pattern. And you guys know I can live with that. Now, right here, first and 10 again. Kind of blanking right now, men. He's taking a lot of time to hike this ball too. See if he does hike the ball here. Yeah, he does. I also do have class in like 19 minutes, boys. So we got to get this guy up and out of here. I was a little bit late recording this, so I need to make sure we just stay locked in and don't do anything goofy this game. Thankfully, he has the touchdown there. Thankfully, this professor that we have is pretty chill, so I don't think he'd be too upset if I was just a couple of minutes late here. Right here, honestly, I'm just going to stick with cover 4. I don't think he's done a good enough job at beating this, right? Make the tackle, 3rd and 11 run right there. Probably going to go hurry up here. Yeah, get to the line quickly. Now, with this being a 4th and 7, I do want to have a couple people around the line around the first down marker. So we're going to go ahead and just quickly adjust to a cover 3 look. He's going to go up top. Manti Te'o is there to break it up. Really good defense by us. Now, I think what we are going to end up doing here is just keep spamming these motion wheels. You know, I think this is one of the first times you guys have seen how effective motion wheels are, and I'm just gonna keep it up, right? You know, these motion wheels are just one of the best concepts you guys can utilize. Right there, his user kind of fake guards it. We have Gronky wide open again. We do get to the red zone. I maybe should have thought about running after the catch there. I do just really worry about KOs in this game. And whenever I have somebody open, I really just focus on possession catching. You know, if I am in within like 5 yards of the defensive back, the way that this game works too is that even if you just like touch that player, you guys will know that that can easily be a knockout, right? So for me, one of the things that I do just always think about is risk reward Like, is it really worth me risking a 30+ yard gain to potentially gain a couple of extra yards? Now, right there, let's come out in mid blitz. So what we're going to go ahead and do right here, we're going to go to our jet touch pass here. Everybody's really condensed around the line of scrimmage. Logically, it makes sense that a jet touch pass should work. Right here, boom, get to the edge. Ooh, really good user by him. So he's actually taking that safety and running all the way across right there to kind of prevent me from getting to the outside right there. If his user didn't go all the way across right there, I would have actually had a wide open touchdown. So really good job by him. Now right here, we're gonna go ahead and step up, should have an easy scramble, and we are able to get 7 right there. Now you guys can see it. Mendoza has Heisman dot now. I do think as we get deeper and deeper into this year, I think Heisman abilities are going to become a lot more relevant. I kind of messed around with them at the start of the year. Heisman takeoff is one of the craziest things I have ever seen in a game. I think it might be one of the most overpowered abilities that I have seen. I shouldn't say in any game because I've seen some pretty overpowered abilities before, but Heisman takeoff really just is so good. Right here, kickoff. I think what I might end up doing here too, I think I might start cutting the kickoffs. I've realized that cutting the kickoffs, there's really not a ton that I can even talk about during that time. Like, oh, here's a good special teams coverage unit play. Like, all right. I don't know, maybe somebody cares about that. As somebody that watched the Seahawks have elite special teams coverage, I was always excited to watch special teams plays in the NFL this year. I do wonder when we are going to get new college rules too, and what I mean by new college rules is I can't imagine that we have this kickoff system for much longer in college, just due to if the NFL is changing. I feel like college is always pretty close behind, just following, especially the major rule changes that we do have. I'm actually a fan of the new kickoff. I know that a lot of people think they do not like the kickoff. The only problem that I have with the kickoff personally is I feel like the kick needs to be 10 yards back. So yes, you are hearing that correctly. I feel like a kicker needs to kick the ball at their own 25. And I feel like the placement of the gunners and then also the blockers, I feel like that, oh, is he gonna be gone? Okay, great run defensive stick by us. But they need to be pushed up. I wanna say like to the opponent's, I want to say 25, if not 20. I really think the biggest problem is the average starting field position is just a little bit too crazy. The concept of it, I think it's cool. I just think you need to move where players are starting from. I think if you're able to do that, it's going to just be a lot better, right? You know, I think that still encourages a lot of returns. Oh, and then also touchbacks get moved back to the 20. So if you just hit a touchback, like if a kicker actually hits a touchback in the system, it just goes to the 20. Let's get back to like the old fashioned like 80-yard drives is what's needed for a touchdown, not 65, right? Because I do think that 65-yard drives, you know, especially in this day and age where kickers are making from like, you get to the 50 and you feel like half of the kickers in this league can just make the field goal. That's a little bit extreme to me personally. I don't think that that's really great. Benefited the Seahawks this year a decent amount, but I just really don't think that's a thing that they should do. Now right here, this dude's really managing the clock here. Thankfully for us, we still got plenty of time before class. Still got 14 minutes here. Boom, boom, boom. I really do try my best to not record these videos on a time crunch either. I do just think the content becomes worse when I do. There's just some days, boys, I hope you guys can understand. Maybe you have your own just busy lifestyle, your own busy work that, you know, you don't really have, like, I don't have time later today to get this recording done. So there just comes a point where, you know, I do just kind of have to bite the bullet. And potentially there is a chance here too that we'll just stop the recording a little bit early here. Now right here, really good comeback by him. He's able to hit the outside right there. It's almost like he stemmed up that comeback there too. Something I do not use a ton is just stemmed up comebacks. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, we're going to go ahead and just run a little bit more Tampa 2 here. I feel like Tampa 2 for what he's doing, it's going to be pretty effective. He really hasn't done a great job at trying to push the ball down the field. So I want to make sure that I'm just guarding a lot over the middle of the field right there. Running back route, he is able to make the catch. Really good catch by him. And again, we're going to go ahead, more Tampa 2. I'm not even really that worried about guarding deep down the field right here. Also just due to the fact that of the area of the field that we are in. Right here. Oh. defender just kind of got caught in like a nice little 360 right there. And he does get ball at half here too. So he's in a really good spot. He does get ball at half. I'm gonna go ahead, boom, boom, boom. Stem down here. I'm gonna go ahead and use her the safety just to hopefully provide a little bit better run defense. It's taking a lot of time getting these play calls in. That's like the one thing we can't have. Probably hurry up by him. Yep, hurry up by him right here. I kind of disagree with this personally. I would have taken my time out right there, but obviously he likes this idea of hurrying up. Is he inbounds? That's a big out of bounds right there. I'm gonna go ahead and switch my hooks to 5 right here too. So boom, boom, boom. I'm gonna go ahead and contain just so he doesn't have an easy scramble here. Oh, so it's a quarterback keeper. We are able to get there. So I'm gonna let the clock wind down a little bit. Curious to say, I think you have to go for this. At least I would personally go for this. Yep, he is gonna go for this too. Now, trips alignment, a lot of like good glitchy runs are in this, so I have to just be mindful of that. Again, quarterback containing here again, just standard Tampa 2. I'm gonna go ahead and just stand tall with the mid read. Kind of the entire middle of the area. Middle field is my responsibility. Taking a lot of time here too. See if he does end up hiking it. Gotta just say with this curl, we're able to play really good defense there, boys. Great big time stand by us. I don't know if he was intentionally doing it, but he almost had like a perfect clock drive. And boys, that is gonna do it. Dcroft does get to class on time. Let me go ahead and quickly show you guys my record here. Again, we're fringe top 100 right now. I think I'm somewhere in the 80 to oh, so I'm set. I thought I actually had 80 wins by this point. We do not have 80 wins. Okay, so we did fall out of the top 100 here. I am currently, let me go to my friends leaderboard. 102, so I'm one spot out right now. Kind of surprises me. This guy is 92-0, which is only 13 games on us. And he's actually in the top 50. So yeah, we're in a really good spot, boys. Really, really good spot. Boys, I appreciate you guys all a ton for tuning into this. I hope you guys did like Pittsburgh Playbook. I think it's a solid playbook. I think with the bunches and everything, if you fully utilize it, probably one of the best playbooks in the games. But boys, I'll see you guys all next time.